famine, corruption, etc. But still there is hope. For all these evils are man-made. Spirituality, when we talk about spirituality, it is a ray of hope. It is not philosophical, it is altruistic attitude towards others. Spirituality basically helps us to look into the problems from the other person's point of view. In short, again, it is man-to-man relationship. He told us about Vivekananda, what Vivekananda told us. He told us to educate, to learn, and then agitate in a constructive manner. It is basically doing everything in a very constructive manner and not just rising up into the situation and just getting agitated. Of us today. I'm appointed as Chief Justice of Guwahati High Court in 2007.
Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps I am the least qualified among the speakers to talk on this subject, looked at from any point of view. Nonetheless, certain accidents take place in life, and this happens to be one of them. But it's a pleasant accident to share an occasion like this with eminent personalities that are sitting on the dais today. Each one of them distinguished in his own field. The common thread being that they are men of outstanding integrity, which can only come if the person happens to have a great deal of impersonal love for the fellow human beings. Ultimately, what is all this degradation of values we are talking about? Writing his preface to the history of Western philosophy, Bertrand Russell poses certain questions. Is there a way of life which is noble and another ignoble? Is there any purpose for this human life? Or is it that man is a tiny lump of impure carbon, barely treading his way on a relatively insignificant planet in the universe? He says these are the questions which trouble thinkers from time to time, and these are the questions which form the basis of all philosophy, West or East. Perceptions varied. Maybe in their quest to find the truth, the philosophers of the West, at least a large part of them, laid a greater emphasis on a just social order for making human beings more happy. And the philosophers of the East, in my understanding, laid a greater emphasis on individual refinement than creation of a just social order. It's not that they never spoke of creation of a just social order, but the emphasis was more on individual refinement. Process. All this activity is confined to a limited number of human beings at any given point of time. Majority are really not concerned with this kind of an inquiry. They don't They have the time, nor patience, nor the requisite energy to inquire into these matters. In fact, the other day, when Mrs. Kapoor and her husband called on me at Guwahati to discuss something about this program, I am light was telling them. In fact, yesterday before we came here, Mr. Kapoor cautioned, I'm sure you are not going to repeat what all you discussed there with us. And later I asked them, you're talking about degradation of values. Were they ever better? I was, of course, in a way serious when I asked this question. When you're talking about values recorded in textbooks, they have always been lofty and high. But in practice, I don't think human society ever practiced, a large majority of the people in human society ever practiced most of those ideals. As Justice Venkatacharya was mentioning in his speech about the explosion in the population in the 18th and 19th centuries. The number of people killed, there was also mention of it by Justice Venkatacharya, must make us think, yes, what way was that society better than this society today? When you're talking about the society, you're talking about the whole mass of people living at that point of time in the society. Maybe the literature produced at that point of time projected some higher values. I'm sure even the literature produced today certainly projects higher values, talks about equality, talks about a more just society. But in between, all of us feel a disgust that everything is not right with this society. We talk about corruption. We talk about disruption of human relations. We talk about indiscipline in public and private lives. And all this we attribute to the fall in the values. But why are these things happening? Are these things happening because of any specific reason which has emerged only in the last 100 years? Or is there something more? Or was there a reason which existed always but which has become more prominent or gained greater prominence in the recent times? I'm of the opinion personally, nothing new has happened to humanity. It's the basic human nature, the basic instincts of human beings, that sense of jealousy, avarice, or greed. The element of vanity existing in all human beings becomes a little more uncontrolled. These are the factors which contribute to the kind of situation which we face today, we see today. Perhaps there are two ways of controlling the system. By an external discipline, by the authority of the state, by making it a punishable offense to indulge in a particular kind of activity, human nature can be controlled, provided the state has the requisite will to enforce the law which it makes, and the apparatus to enforce the law. The second way to remedy the situation is by training the individuals in the society, that is the Indian way, trying to refine the individuals and making them them understand that there is a more noble way of living and this life is worth living for a higher purpose. Perhaps that's where activity like these seminars play a major role. When we talk about the degradation of values, I would like to place only two aspects of the matter. What is the major problem which each one of us are aware of and talk in private or public? We talk about corruption in the society. Undoubtedly, all of us agree, no, it exists. But more often what happens is that associated with us, we are all willing to talk. If it happens that the man indulging in that activity is somehow connected with us, it could be by relationship or otherwise, we don't talk about it. Maybe there we are not clear about the concept that corruption, whether it's indulged by somebody known to us or unknown to us, it equally affects the entire society. That realization perhaps is lacking in the Indian society today. We therefore don't talk about it when it comes to the corruption in the known waters. Second, there used to be a certain amount of moral disapproval about this kind of activity or conduct at an earlier point of time in the society. Slowly, I think we have become insensitive to this activity. We don't even bother to disapprove this, publicly disapprove. In private, we talk about it. But in public, we have stopped disapproving these things. When a person who indulges in an activity which is utterly dangerous to the society or utterly inconsistent with the larger interests of the society appears, we know fully well that this person is responsible for that, of you for patiently giving me your ear.